Hello implementers, my name is Anthony English and this is podcast number 15 of Learn to Implement, where you will learn how to beat procrastination, how to manage perfectionism, and how to execute on those ideas that are constantly knocking on your door saying, take me, implement me. Now, today I want to speak to you about the struggle of creating something when you know that you are not an expert. It can be really hard. Now, let me tell you a little story. When I first started recording videos, I had never been on camera before. I had no acting experience, and I was really quite intimidated and quite wooden. As I recorded things, I was just learning also a little bit about editing, and I had to go back and watch myself on camera, and I hated it. I hated the way that I looked. I especially hated the way that I sounded. And I found that I thought, well, who am I to be talking about these things when I'm not really an expert? And even if I was a little bit more advanced in some things, there were plenty of other people out there who had put much more detailed videos and courses out there, and they really were experts and recognized as so. So who was I to be putting any content out there like thinking that it was original or even good? And so I found this really, really hard. And then one day, very early on in my journey, I was going back and watching myself and thinking, and I was picking on, oh, look, I was seeing how I scratched myself there, and I ummed and ahed, and I didn't look at the camera, and so many things. And I was just beating myself up really and saying how terrible it was. And then I thought to myself, wait, I'm really putting myself under a lot of pressure here. I'm trying to be the cameraman, I'm trying to be the actor, the talent, I'm the writer of the content, I'm the director, the producer, all of those roles and the video editor, all of those roles. And I was only just starting to learn a little bit about video editing. How could I also play the role of audience and critic? It just did not make sense. And so instead of focusing on myself and how I looked and how I sounded, I thought, hey, this is not about me. And I told myself, you're not going to win an Oscar. You're not going to be invited to the Academy Awards. Just get over it. And that was really a turning point for me, recognizing that although I wasn't an expert, I still did have something that I could offer. And if you yourself are finding the same thing, if you are beating yourself up, criticizing yourself, saying you're not ready, then what I'd say is, okay, yeah, you're not ready and you're not an expert, and that's okay. Because your audience are probably people who are going to be just a little bit behind you and who are going to take courage from you. Now, you don't realize that at the time because you've done something really, really hard. Maybe you've created something, maybe you've published something, and you think, nobody has seen it. But you are so many more steps ahead of somebody who's never published something and who's still questioning themselves. And so for you sort of say, once you've actually hit that mountain, gone over that ledge up the mountain, it doesn't seem like you've come very far. But for somebody who's below that ledge, they're sort of saying, how am I ever going to get there? And so instead of saying, am I an expert? It's not really the right question to ask, I think. Instead of doing that, take the advantage of not being an expert, but being just a little bit ahead of somebody in some respect. And they may be ahead of you in other respects. And once you do that, it just opens up your horizons. You realize, wow, this is really helping somebody. And you don't have to worry about getting to a point of perfectionism or a point of some imagined expertise before you are ready. if you go and look back at most of those experts who you admire, and you look back at, if for example, they're on YouTube, and you look back at some of their very early videos, you just say, wow, that's not very polished, is it? And so recognize that instead of saying, am I an expert, ask yourself, who am I helping? Who needs to hear this? Who can I serve today? And you will find that once you start doing it, both creating and sharing publicly, especially in front of strangers, then you'll find that those strangers are coming back to congratulate you, not because they like you as a person, not because they're your friends or admirers or want to give you a pat on the back, is because you have genuinely helped them. So put aside the expertise. I'm not saying don't try and improve. Definitely try to improve. But even the experts, even the best in their field, are always learning, always improving anyway. And so they're not necessarily thinking of themselves as experts. They're just saying, what can I do right now to be a little bit better? And so that's the way that I approach things. And from that time when I had that little conversation with myself and told myself I'm never going to win an Oscar, that gave me immediate confidence, not just on camera, but also with writing, recording podcasts, with all kinds of things. Just gave me that confidence. So it wasn't because I believed in myself, it was because I was turning the camera away from focusing on myself. I wasn't just looking in the mirror and judging myself so harshly. How do you really have anything valuable to say? I just realized from others, yes, I do. I've got something that can help them, and so do you. Thanks for watching this or listening. This is episode 15 of the Learn to Implement podcast. We'll see you next time.